entire piece of land directly. And leave it to his Shrek Academy. F. Duguyan Tangsan, you lowlife, you really are insatiable. Did Dugubo ever say he would give you the whole piece of land? Bing Bing is polite, he really didn't. At least, I've never heard of it. Hot-headed girl anyway, if I met such a disgusting person, I would never give my family estate to him. Even if it was for detoxing, I already gave him the immortal herbs. Bing Bing is polite, exactly. I've seen disgusting people, but never anyone this disgusting. Calm and composed, no need to say more, this is outright robbery, stealing someone else's assets. BB Dong, if Tang San can rob, why can't I? If the good things in the ice and fire yin yang well were given to me, how much would my strength increase? BB Dong, I don't know if the ice and fire yin yang well is still there. I might go to the sunset forest to check it out one day. But I'm the supreme pontiff, I can't get away, sigh. Goddess of light, so the ice and fire yin yang well wasn't Shrek's. It actually belonged to this Dugubo, and was stolen by Tang San. Tang Sect Master, that's not right. Even if Ancestor Tang San stole it, why didn't he leave it to the Tang Sect instead of giving it to Shrek Academy? Tang Sect Master, the Tang Sect is Ancestor Tang San's own force, right? Shrek was just a place he attended school, right? Tang Sect Master, looking at this, even I feel heartbroken. Goddess of light, you're the Tang Sect Master. You wouldn't happen to be Xiaoya, would you? Tang Sect Master, you know me. Goddess of light, it really is, but I won't say anything more, lest I expose your identity. Most loyal believer of the sea god, what's the big deal? The ice and fire yin yang well is gone, didn't our sea god island disappear too? Most loyal believer of the sea god anyway, as far as I'm concerned, Tang San hasn't become the sea god yet. I don't recognize him at all. In the Dugu family residence. Dugu Yan looked at the light screen, almost exploding with anger. Damn. The ice and fire yin yang well that our Dugu family treasured, why should it be given to this bastard? Even in the original timeline, my grandfather never agreed to hand over the entire medicinal garden to him, did he? My grandfather could have passed it down to me later. I could have passed it down to my descendants. 10,000 years later, normally speaking, shouldn't the ice and fire yin yang well still be in the hands of our Dugu family? How did it end up becoming the property of this crappy Shrek Academy? I refuse to accept this. On the side, Bai Chenqiang, seeing Dugu Yan's angry appearance, hurriedly comforted her. Big sister Dugu Yan, please calm down. No matter what, this is just the original timeline, not the current reality. The ice and fire yin yang well is still in Brother Yi's hands right now, so there's nothing to worry about. Dugu Yan gritted her teeth and said, it's better that it's with Brother Yi. I'm already Brother Yi's person. If grandfather passes it to me later, won't I just give it to Brother Yi anyway? Besides, Brother Yi said before that he only wanted the immortal herbs, and the ice and fire yin yang well would be returned to our Dugu family later. It's just a pity that I'm the only heir, so it will eventually be given to Brother Yi. Anyway, this Tang San is truly disgusting. How can he be disgusting to this extent? That Sea God Island, it also disappeared in the future. Anyway, any good thing that wasn't originally his, he just has to occupy it, right? The more Dugu Yan thought about it, the angrier she became. She really wanted to find this Tang San and chop him into 1,000 pieces. Bai Chenqiang felt helpless and could only continue to comfort her on the side. Only after the two calmed down a little could they continue to watch the light screen, otherwise they would be angered to death. And similarly, in other places. Tanya of the Duluo II era, looking at these sharp critiques, also felt very unhappy. Her Tang Sect ancestor had actually stolen someone else's property. Even if he did steal it, he didn't leave it to his own Tang Sect, but to Shrek. She felt terrible about it. Wang Donger felt even more ashamed. This kind of father, she would never acknowledge him, anyway. Everyone was complaining while watching the light screen. In the light screen. Tang San snatching the ice and fire yin yang well is one thing, but do you think that's the extent of Tang San's monopoly? We already mentioned Sea God Island before, it was originally a benefit for countless sea spirit masters. With the protection of the sea god. Even outstanding sea spirit masters could rely on the god trial to gain power. But what happened? After Tang San became the sea god, he moved Sea God Island to Shrek, making it a tourist attraction for Shrek. So, sea spirit masters don't need it anymore, right? Once you became the sea god, you don't care about the lives of sea spirit masters anymore, right? Look at Duluo 2, are there even any scenes featuring sea spirit masters? And besides the ice and fire yin yang well and Sea God Island, two things that didn't originally belong to Tang San, he occupied them both. In fact, Tang San didn't value the Tang Sect he established very much either. 10,000 years later, the Tang Sect fell into decline, to the point where even Tang Sect Master Tang Ya was the only one left. The Tang sect's sect grounds were occupied by other sects, leaving Tang, a sect leader, to just hold up the plaque. And why did the Tang sect become so dilapidated? One reason is certainly that hidden weapons were inferior to spirit tools. But in reality, even if hidden weapons were inferior to spirit tools, relying on the accumulation from the early days, your Tang sect shouldn't have been so pathetic as to lose its sect grounds. Your Tang sect still had the mysterious heaven skill and those cultivation techniques, didn't it? If those were kept, even without hidden weapons, couldn't the Tang sect have stood tall for 10,000 years by cultivating spirit masters? After all, the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, Clear Sky Sect, and Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan all lived well 10,000 years later. Even if they weren't the strongest forces, they were at least first or second-rate forces, right? Then why, when the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan and 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School were almost wiped out, could they still survive for 10,000 years and remain so powerful? Why did the Tang sect, which possessed top-tier cultivation techniques, end up so pathetic? One important reason for this is that the cultivation techniques left behind by that dog Tang-san were incomplete. He didn't leave behind the true mysterious heaven skill and other techniques. He clearly established the Tang sect himself, yet he didn't leave behind the real goods. How could this crappy Tang sect sustain itself? Tanya is just a young girl acting as Tang sect master, what does she have to fight others with? Chapter 170, the cultivation technique left behind is incomplete. Is Tang-san even worthy of being the Tang sect ancestor? Speaking of this, before they could even finish, everyone was involuntarily terrified just by looking at this information. Good heavens, Tang-san could actually do such a thing. He founded a sect, yet didn't leave behind the real stuff. Leaving behind a bunch of incomplete cultivation technique, isn't this just screwing people over? Tang sect master what? The cultivation technique the Tang sect practices now is incomplete. Tang sect master, the true, complete mysterious heaven skill and other techniques were not left for the Tang sect. Tang sect master damn it, how could this be? Tang sect master, aren't you the Tang sect ancestor? Didn't you build the Tang sect? Tang sect master, why would you treat us like this? We are your descendants, your successors. Calm and composed, so, that means you are Tang-ya. Sigh, how did you end up in such a state, becoming the sect leader of this so-called Tang sect? BB Dong, ha, it's simply ridiculous. Building a sect yourself, only to hide something from your own successors, is this something a sect leader would do? BB Dong, hearing this, seeing Tang-san's future sect in such a miserable state, I actually feel quite relieved. Goddess of Light, so that's how it is. No wonder Shrek Academy can be so prosperous. Yet the sect Tang-san built himself is falling into ruin. Goddess of Light, so the one who ended up dragging the Tang sect down was none other than Tang-san himself. Tang sect master, I suddenly feel a bit pained and uncomfortable. How could it be like this? Hot girl, hey, you're a girl too, right? The decline of this Tang sect really isn't your fault. Who would have thought that the one who betrayed you was your own ancestor? Tang sect master, actually, I am not a descendant of the Tang clan. I just happen to have the surname Tang, and was elected as the Tang sect master. Calm and composed, then you are truly miserable. This Tang-san is simply not a normal person. In the future, this Tang sect might as well just cease to exist. Du Guyan, who would have thought that this Tang-san, in order to guard against later generations surpassing him, could go to such lengths. Du Guyan, in reality, he is already a god king in the god realm. He is already at the highest level. Du Guyan, even if he didn't guard against it, how could later generations surpass him? As long as he doesn't want to pass on his god position, at the very least he is a god king, a top-level leader. Du Guyan, even with all that, he's still not satisfied. Du Guyan, think about it carefully, how big of an official position is enough? Bing Bing is polite, that's right, he is too sinister, even screwing over his own people, sigh. The characters watched, truly not knowing what to say. Duluo Dalui era. Tanya looked at the content on the light screen, and she was crying out loud. Woo! How could it be like this? How could it be like this? Ancestor, I trusted you so much. Even when this light screen kept talking about you earlier, I still spoke well of you. In the end, the one most problematic for the Tang sect is actually you. Damn it. Are you still worthy of being the Tang sect ancestor? You. Speaking to the end, Tanya covered her chest, as if she was stifled with anger. She barely took a deep breath and gritted her teeth, saying, so the cultivation technique you left behind is completely incomplete. No wonder so many people in the Tang sect have learned the cultivation technique from ancient times, not to mention it's hard to make progress. And after cultivating it, it's not as exaggerated as the legends say at all. In the legends, it was always said that the mysterious heaven skill is the orthodox method of the mysterious sect, capable of opening up meridians, nourishing the body, and recovering things. But after we learned it, none of us could achieve anything that exaggerated. It was all fake, it was all incomplete. Tang-san. You are simply a beast. You even guard against your own sect, your own successors. Are you even a human anymore? Speaking to the end, Tang Ya could no longer hold back and cursed Tang-san directly. Duluo Dalui era. Shrek Academy. Wang Donger also looked at the light screen and sighed helplessly. This is truly something Tang-san would do. He guards against his own successors, guards against his own sect. Didn't it say earlier that he could even use his own daughter? This person only has himself in his heart. Whether it's successors or descendants, they are just tools to him. Let's go check on senior sister Tang Ya. Xiao Xiao also nodded and prepared to go. And the sharp critiques on the light screen had not yet ended. On the light screen. So why is it said that this person, Tang-san, is beastly to an appalling degree? You built the Tang sect, yet you don't want the Tang sect to develop well. Then why the hell did you build it? Back in your original world, you talked about being worthy of the Tang sect. Yet you turned around and built your own Tang sect on the Duluo continent. Fine, building your own Tang sect is one thing, but you hid something and refused to bring out the real stuff. Is this how you treat the Tang sect? Didn't you say repeatedly that everything you have was brought by the Tang sect? And Tang-san hiding something is far from that simple. How could he just hide the cultivation technique and not give it to the Tang sect? In fact, he didn't even tell the Tang sect his own information. Since Tang-san, the Tang sect has always felt that the blue-silver grass spirit is suitable, and in order to make the Tang sect shine again, they have always looked for blue-silver grass spirit masters to be the Tang sect master. Good heavens, is the blue-silver grass a trash spirit? Who in this world doesn't know that? Unless it is paired with hidden weapons and cultivation technique, can a blue-silver grass spirit master have any combat power? In fact, wouldn't other spirit masters be more awesome using hidden weapons and learning cultivation technique? What is the use of blue-silver grass? The most despicable thing about Tang-san is that he himself was clearly not an ordinary blue-silver grass, but a top-tier spirit, the blue-silver emperor. But he didn't say it. Even in the Duluo era, except for those closest to him, everyone else thought Tang-san's spirit was blue-silver grass. Damn it, isn't it just because you wanted to rely on the claim that you cultivated blue-silver grass yourself to make yourself seem more awesome and rare? In the end, you ruined your own Tang sect and successors. The Tang sect is still happily looking for blue-silver grass. Tang Ya, a spirit master with a blue-silver grass spirit, is still trying her best to become stronger. The Tang sect is gone, and Tang Ya, a little girl, keeps thinking it's her own problem. That she cannot cultivate blue-silver grass as powerfully as her ancestor. In fact, what does this have to do with Tang Ya? You have a blue-silver grass, and Tang-san has the blue-silver emperor. Is this the same thing? Even if you cultivate for a lifetime, it's useless. Tang-san is hiding it. You think it's because you're not as good as him? If Tang-san really had an ordinary blue-silver grass spirit, he might not even be as good as you. Chapter 171. Sect leader looks for blue-silver grass. Result: Tang-san's blue-silver emperor. Du Guyan, the more I think about it, the more disgusted I feel. If Tang-san had just said, that was a blue-silver emperor, would the Tang sect have spent generations gnawing on a piece of useless grass? Dong, hey, that's the kind of person Tang-san is. He wants his descendants to live in his shadow. As for whether they live or die, that's none of his business. Hot girl, after becoming a god, he doesn't even spare them a glance. His disciples and descendants in the mortal world train until they die, while he's in the god realm cuddling with Xiao Wu, having a good time. Bing is polite, his descendants train until they die, thinking they are following their ancestor, but it turns out the ancestor was walking a completely different path and never told them. Calm and composed, he isn't evil, he's just unconsciously arrogant. That's even more disgusting than doing it on purpose. Needle-tailed Swift, is it really that hard to send a dream? He doesn't do it because he never cared in the first place. Du Guyan, he's just one of those pretentious jerks who thinks, you guys can figure out my legends for yourselves. Dong, do you think he'd say, it's because they lack the comprehension ability themselves? It's his standard way of shifting the blame. Hot girl Pa, that was a blue-silver emperor. It was a cheat, letting his descendants try to replicate it with ordinary grass, isn't that just being a scumbag? Bing is polite, he gets to use cheats, but his descendants must suffer. He gets to forget his roots, but his descendants must be loyal. His double standards are crystal clear. I am an orphan, those descendants die thinking they just didn't work hard enough. It's quite miserable. Calm and composed, the people who believed in him their whole lives were never actually taken seriously by him. Du Guyan, Tang-san should be made to watch his disciples and descendants train until they suffer chi deviation. Dong, him, he would just say, the era is different, the opportunity was insufficient. He always has an excuse. Hot girl, disgusting, I want to throw up just seeing the words, see God, now. Needle-tailed Swift, alright, don't get yourself worked up. We're just here to watch the show anyway. Du Guyan, I really am about to throw up. Every time I see this kind of god, it's disgusting. Duluo Tuera. Shrek Academy. Tanya stared at the sharp commentary on the light screen, stunned in place. What does this mean? Blue Silver, Emperor. Her voice trembled, her fingers gripping her clothes tightly. So, for all these years, after bowing to the ancestor so many times, that plan of his was never the same kind of plan as mine. Tang-san kept this hidden. Even after becoming a god, he didn't say anything. He just let his descendants hold on to blue silver grass as a treasure for generations. Then what does that make me? What does that make the past ancestral masters of the Tang sect? A bunch of fools. Her face turned pale, her lips trembling. Tang-san, you. Are you even fit to be the ancestor of the Tang sect? Tanya kicked over a wooden bucket nearby, her voice cracking. So what if you became a god? Would it kill you to open your mouth and give a warning to your descendants? What kind of sea god, what kind of Asura god, you're just a selfish, heartless bastard. The Tang sect was created by you, and it was destroyed by you. You just walked away, leaving his descendants holding onto a piece of useless grass as a sacred object, training until we die or the sect falls apart, generation after generation. Do you even deserve to be called ancestor? Do you? Her chest heaved violently, her eyes turning red. The stories I've heard since I was a child, the ancestor I've believed in for over a decade, just this. It's truly disgusting. Tanya cursed more and more angrily, however, as she grew tired of cursing, her voice lowered, becoming hoarse. Quote. Fine. Blue Silver Emperor, how noble. Awakening the bloodline, heaven-defyingly becoming a god. And me? Tanya looked down at her palm, where the faint blue phantom of a blade of grass emerged, pitifully weak. I'm just ordinary blue silver grass. The most ordinary kind. I was still thinking about reviving the Tang sect. I even thought I could do it. Hey. She laughed, and tears fell. What do I have to revive it with? This piece of useless grass. Tang-san relied on the blue silver emperor to become a god. What can I do with blue silver grass? Plant it in the fields. I'm such a fool, really. She crouched down and buried her face in her knees. After training for so many years, it turns out there was no hope from the very beginning. At this moment, Tanya was almost completely desperate. She looked at the light screen, not even knowing how to express. On the light screen, the sharp commentary continued. Anyway, regarding this selfishness of Tang-san, I am shocked to the point of being unable to comprehend it. Why wouldn't they say that he can even exploit his own daughter and personally control her? He doesn't even care if his daughter lives or dies, so are you mere Tang sect descendants important? As long as I, God King Tang-san, leave a reputation on the Duluo continent and successfully act cool, does it matter how my successors are doing? Can it affect me, God King Tang-san? Like I said, he can even discard his own daughter. Who do you think you are? Take the part where Huo Yuhao gives Wang Donger the yearning heartbroken red, that was also intentionally designed by Tang-san. Wang Donger didn't have a terminal illness at all, she didn't have any disease. And he claimed she needed the yearning heartbroken red. Good heavens, to test his future son-in-law, he just made up a terminal illness for his daughter. Would you believe this script? My daughter is sick and needs the yearning heartbroken red to survive. Tang-san, when you wrote that letter, did you have to hold back laughter? No, a normal person testing a son-in-law would at most make them move bricks or fetch water and buy some cigarettes and alcohol. You, on the other hand, made him go check into the gates of hell, right? What kind of place is the ice and fire yin-yang well? It's full of poisonous plants and the environment is harsh. Huo Yuhao was entering a situation where death was almost certain. You said you secretly sent the Sky Azure Bull Python and Titan Giant Ape to observe. So you were just watching a live stream on the side, waiting for Huo Yuhao to perform an extreme survival act. What if Huo Yuhao couldn't hold on and actually died on the way to pick the herbs? How were you planning to explain it to your daughter? Sorry baby, Dad played your object to death. He calls it testing sincerity, but this isn't a test, this is clearly a job interview from the King of Hell. The most ridiculous part is that if Wang Chuer hadn't happened to be there and saved him with another yearning heartbroken red, Huo Yuhao would have just died right there. So Tang-san, what was your plan B? Wait for Huo Yuhao to cool off and then resurrect him to continue the test? What happened to protecting your daughter's happiness? This operation is like tying your daughter's happiness to a cliff edge and letting it swing on a swing set. So in your eyes, the son-in-law's life is just a test material, and if it breaks, you just replace it with another, right? If this were modern society, a father-in-law who played like this would have been blocked by his son-in-law and exposed all over the internet for 3 days. And he calls himself a god king, with this kind of perspective. I think he's more like a Pua master in the god king world. When you were chasing Xiao Wu back then, I didn't see you putting yourself through such trouble. Double standards are so righteous. In the end, isn't it just relying on your strong power to use other people's lives to satisfy your own desire for control? Huo Yuhao being able to survive was purely due to good luck and Wang Chuer being capable. Does it have anything to do with the test you designed? And in the end, he has to be grateful and call you father-in-law. Keep dreaming, not cursing you twice is already considered having high character. I give this operation full marks, but the full marks are 100,000 and they are negative. Tang-san, take your time to savor this. Chapter 172, Tricking Yearning Heartbroken Red, Killing Huo Yuhao for the first time. Du Guyan, my god, this Tang-san is truly ruthless to Huo Yuhao. Sending a person to the ice and fire Yin-Yang well to die with a single letter. Bing Bing is polite. The most ridiculous part is that he cursed his own daughter to be sick. Cursing his own flesh and blood just for a test, I really can't understand this logic. Bibi Dong, hey, this is what you call fatherly love for your own good. Using his daughter's life as a tool to test others, he really has a way with things. Calm and composed, tricking someone by saying, my daughter is dying, bring medicine. How is that different from a kidnapper? Kidnappers only want money, he wants Huo Yuhao's life. Hot girl, if Wang Chuer hadn't taken another yearning heartbroken red to save him, Huo Yuhao would have really been done for. And then would Tang San have said, this child is insincere and unworthy of my daughter. Needle-tailed Swift, a genius of logic, want to test your son-in-law. First, make him die to save your daughter. The problem is, the daughter is perfectly fine. What do you call this? A fake test. I am an orphan putting myself in Huo Yuhao's shoes. I worked myself to death to get the medicine, and you tell me it was a test. Your daughter wasn't even sick. Does that mean my near-death experience counts as a work-related injury? Auspicious snow in the forest. Actually, the most pitiful one is Wang Donger. Her father, under the guise of, for her own good, almost got her beloved killed. Du Guyan, so what's the reward for passing this test? Nothing, right? You almost died and all you got was a, you passed. What a massive loss. Bing Bing is polite summary. Tang San directed and acted in his own play, lied that his daughter was sick, made his son-in-law look for a non-existent cure, almost got him killed, and in the end, it was another girl who prevented a tragedy. Excellent. Hot girl, if this continues, I'm going to start doubting if Wang Donger is even his biological daughter. This father really has a knack for screwing over his own child. I am an orphan. Suddenly, I feel like being an orphan isn't so bad. At least no one uses this method, for my own good. Auspicious snow in the forest. So is Tang San testing Huo Yuhao or is he testing our intelligence? ... Duluo Tuera. Shrek Academy. Wang Donger stared at the sharp comments on the light screen, almost laughing in anger. So that Tang San actually used me to trick Huo Yuhao. Saying I was dying and needed yearning heartbroken red and then almost getting Huo Yuhao killed at the ice and fire Yin-Yang well. Her voice was shaking. Is this something a normal person would do? Is this how a father acts? Using your daughter as bait is one thing, but you can't just hang your son-in-law to death, right? Wang Donger took a deep breath, her eyes slightly red. From the time I was little until now, who has ever cared about me? Now, he uses me as an excuse to test others. If Huo Yuhao had really died, what would I have done? Did he even consider that? She kicked a stone beside her hard. Anyway, I won't acknowledge this father. I'll discuss it with Huo Yuhao later, and we'll deal with him together. So what if he's a god king? Does being a god king mean he can trick people like this? I'll handle my own father. Xiao Xiao gently patted her shoulder from the side. I'll definitely help you. The three of us have been together since we enrolled. What kind of storms haven't we seen? That idiot Huo Yuhao, he didn't even know to fight back when he was being tricked into death. We'll have to keep an eye on him from now on. She paused, her tone becoming serious. Even if the opponent is a god king, it's fine. We'll face it together. ... Beneath the lake of life. The auspicious beast lay on the bottom of the lake, watching the images on the light screen, her gaze growing colder. So one of the purposes of me becoming this Wang Chuer in the future is to save that Huo Yuhao. If he wants to die, then let him die. I won't go out of my way to save a stranger. She turned over, her tail flicking impatiently. But this Tang San, the more I look at him, the more disgusted I feel. Lying that his daughter is sick to make his son-in-law go die. What is the point of this test? What does passing it prove? Does it prove that Huo Yuhao is stupid and gullible enough? By the time Huo Yuhao actually dies, he probably won't even know whether to laugh or cry. The auspicious beast closed her eyes and opened them again, a trace of disgust flashing in her eyes. This bastard Tang San. He'd better die early. The auspicious beast grumbled while continuing to watch the light screen. On the light screen. And you think this is all the abuse Tang-san put Huo Yuhao through? Ridiculous. Huo Yuhao's biggest enemy is practically Tang-san. There are plenty of things like that yearning heartbroken red incident. For example, the Chang'an asking Love Valley mentioned earlier. Before, it only focused on Huang Dong'er and Huang Chuer. But look at Huo Yuhao's side, Huo Yuhao is even more miserable. The tests Tang-san put Huo Yuhao through were more than just tests, they were pure, unadulterated venting. Because he knew his daughter liked Huo Yuhao, Tang-san acted like a lunatic, abusing Huo Yuhao in the name of testing him. For example, directly subjecting Huo Yuhao to inhumane, repeated slaughters. To put it nicely, it's testing a son-in-law. To put it bluntly, isn't this just finding an excuse to openly vent your perverted desire for control? Over 100 times. He killed Huo Yuhao over 100 times in Chang'an asking Love Valley. You call this testing feelings? Killing him, resurrecting him, then killing him again. Do you think this is playing a single-player game and reloading a save file? Who did Huo Yuhao offend? He just wanted to marry your daughter, did you have to be so ruthless? The most disgusting thing is, fine, kill him if you want, but you even destroyed the Tower of Death left behind by his teacher. That was Electrolux's final memento to Huo Yuhao. His only legacy. Do you know what this means to a student? His teacher left him so little before he died. It was both a trump card for survival and a spiritual anchor, and you just destroyed it like that. After destroying it, you didn't even apologize, let alone compensate him. You, Tang-san, are wealthy and powerful, can't you afford to compensate for a broken tower? I think you did it on purpose. You couldn't stand Huo Yuhao having a decent divine artifact to save his life. If that tower was still there, Huo Yuhao would have had another way to survive when facing danger in the future, and your daughter would have had less to worry about. Can't you understand that logic? No, you understand it, but you choose not to. You just want him to feel despair, to feel pain, to remember this fear. You say it's to test his sincerity, but in reality, you're just satisfying your own perverted desire for control. If Electrolux knew that the things he left his student were being trampled on by you like this, he would definitely crawl out of his grave to fight you to the death. You have a wife and daughter, so you don't allow others to have a good teacher. You're the only one qualified to be a father, and his teacher isn't qualified to leave a memento. How much pain must Huo Yuhao have felt every time he was killed? Not just the physical pain, but the pain of watching his teacher's memento being destroyed bit by bit. You're not acting like a father-in-law, you're acting like the king of hell. And the most perverted kind of king of hell at that. Please, act like a human being. Stop using the word test to whitewash your perverted behavior. Chapter 173. Brutally killing Huo the protagonist over 100 times. Breaking someone else's tower of death. Du Guyan, damn, Tang-san is really cruel to Huo Yuhao. 100 brutal killings. Is this a trial or just some perverted venting? Hot girl, what kind of bullshit trial is this? I think he's just bored out of his mind after becoming a god, treating little Huo like a toy. And he calls it asking love. What kind of love is he even asking about? Bing Bing is polite, actually, it doesn't make sense logically. If he really valued this son-in-law, why use a method that destroys his willpower? This isn't polishing, this is destruction. I am an orphan, hey, only us orphans can truly understand how Huo Yuhao feels. That broken tower was the last remnant of his teacher, his only spiritual sustenance, and it was just destroyed like that. Tang-san knows nothing about the bond between teacher and student. Needle-tailed Swift, the most disgusting part is that he broke it and didn't even compensate him. You're a god, for goodness sake, at least pay him back with something better, but you just pat your butt and leave. What kind of character is that? Calm and composed, everyone, calm down. From the perspective of the god realm, perhaps, forget it, I can't make up any excuses. I also think this was handled in a completely fucked up way. Du Guyan, hilarious, he couldn't even keep a straight face. That just shows how ridiculous this whole thing is. Hot girl, how is this any different from those control freak parents who say, I'm doing this for your own good? Smashing your favorite toy and claiming it's to help you stop being playful, it's disgusting. Auspicious snow in the forest, how desperate must Huo Yuhao be, repeatedly killed by his own father-in-law, and in the end, he couldn't even protect his teacher's memento. If it were me, I would have had a mental breakdown 800 times over. Bing Bing is polite and note that he said this was part of the trial. This practice of packaging cruelty as profound meaning is even more chilling than pure evil. I am an orphan, don't cry, Huo the protagonist. You may have lost your teacher, but you still have us. We thousands of orphans can huddle together for warmth, isn't that better than acknowledging such a hypocritical godfather? Needle-tailed Swift, if I were Huo Yuhao, the first thing I'd do after recovering is go find Tang-san and demand an explanation. On what grounds? Can gods just do whatever they want? Calm and composed. Theoretically speaking, gods can indeed do whatever they want, but the consequence of doing so is losing the hearts of the people. Those who uphold the Tao get much support, those who lose it get little. Tang-san seems to have forgotten this principle. Bing Bing is polite to summarize. This is a case of violent destruction of property and repeated murder, orchestrated by the upper echelons of the god realm against a mortal in the lower realm. I suggest Huo Yuhao file a lawsuit as soon as possible. Duluo Tuera. Shrek Academy. Wang Donger slammed her fist into the ground. I thought that N.A.N asking Love Valley would only target me for torment in the future. Xiao, look. This Tang-san, he's attacking indiscriminately. He's not just targeting me, he's targeting everyone. Xiao also saw the content on the light screen and was speechless. Wang Donger stood up and paced back and forth. I thought at most he would torture me to death. Fine, I accept that. Who told me to end up with such an ancestor? But what happened? Look at the part about Huo Yuhao. Repeated brutal killings. Over 100 times. Over 100 brutal killings. Is he still human? He's a beast, a pervert. Keep your voice down, Xiao reminded her slightly. Why should I keep my voice down? Let me tell you, Xiao, if I ever get to see this Tang-san in the future, I will definitely destroy him with my own hands. I don't care whose father he is, I don't care if he's the sea god or the Asura god, such a beast doesn't deserve to live. Xiao also nodded and said helplessly. Now that you put it that way, I also feel a chill down my spine. Xiao looked at her, her voice dropping. Donger, how miserable do you think Huo Yuhao will end up, in the future? Wang Donger was stunned for a moment, opened her mouth, but didn't say anything. The two had no choice but to continue watching the light screen, sighing helplessly. Beneath the lake of life. The auspicious beast lay by the lakeside, the tip of her tail tapping the ground intermittently. The text on the light screen rolled upwards line by line, and her eyes grew increasingly disdainful. Counting by the hundreds, she rolled over, facing the sky. I thought at most he would take a few beatings, suffer a few injuries, and that would be it. She said to the rock wall above her head. And what do you call this? A clearance sale in the human market? Are they doing wholesale brutal killings now? She sat up and curled her lip towards the direction of the light screen. This Tang-san, he's truly disgusting. He torments his own daughter, and he torments his own son-in-law too. Especially since I have to become Wang Chuer in the future, and I have to fall for this Huo Yuhao. However, this Huo Yuhao is also quite miserable. She rested her chin in her hands and sighed. Huo Yuhao, oh Huo Yuhao. Looking at you now, why do I suddenly feel a bit sorry for you? To end up with such a father-in-law, did you dig up his ancestral grave in your past life, or did you steal his wife? After saying this, she shook her head more and more, her face full of disdain. In the light screen. The sharp commentary continued. And as mentioned before, in this segment of the N.A.N asking Love Valley, the things Tang-san did were certainly not few. On one hand, he brutally killed Huo Yuhao 100 times and broke his treasure. On the other, he undoubtedly left his own daughter half dead. Although it was mentioned earlier that the final outcome is Wang Donger's death and Wang Chuer's guilt, the point is that Tang-san's arrangements are simply insane. And he claims his emotions sublimated after becoming a god. I think his humanity regressed after becoming a god. To be able to lay a hand on your own daughter, are you even human anymore? This entire process of the N.A.N asking Love Valley is clearly a death warrant tailored specifically for them. If someone else went in, there might be room for maneuver, but if Wang Donger goes in, she's dead for sure. Why? Because the exam questions were designed with her father in mind. Talking about, only the one who loves most can pass through, doesn't Wang Donger love Huo Yuhao enough? She was willing to die for Huo Yuhao. If that's not love, what is? Does she have to actually die for it to count? What kind of bullshit logic is this? Back in the day, for the sake of Xiao Wu, you, Tang-san, were able to risk your life to fight those people from Spirit Hall. How come when it gets to your daughter, it becomes, must die once to prove true love? This isn't just double standards, this is ridiculous. What's the most ridiculous part? It's that after Wang Donger dies and Huo Yuhao goes crazy, you, Tang-san, stand on the moral high ground and start lecturing everyone. This is a necessary trial, this is a fated tribulation, pa. Fated, my foot, isn't this all arranged by you? Claiming it's for Huo Yuhao's own good, to make him strive for success and achieve a god position. Does striving for success necessitate Wang Donger's death? If she were alive and the two of them lived a good life, would they not be worthy of becoming gods? Chapter 174, Forcing the Daughter to Death. Tang-san is truly a model of fatherly love. You married Xiao Wu back then, and you still became a god, didn't you? What, the standards go up when it comes to your son-in-law? Put simply, who did Wang Donger get in the way of? She got in the way of your plans, Tang-san. If she's alive, Huo Yuhao's heart and eyes are entirely on her, making him hard to manipulate. Only if she dies can Huo Yuhao carry guilt and pain, and obediently follow the path you've mapped out. Is this something a real father could do? Making his daughter use her life to pave the way for her husband, while simultaneously placing a lifelong curse on him. Killing two birds with one stone, a massive profit with no losses. And you call it an emotional test? I think emotional slaughterhouse is more like it. Wang Donger is just that lamb driven onto the altar, bleeding out just to fulfill her father's God King vision. Huo Yuhao is a fool too, he still hasn't figured it out. It was never the N.A.N asking Love Valley that forced Wang Donger to her death, it was his good father-in-law. If Wang Donger knew in the afterlife that she was calculated to death by her own father, I wonder what she would think. She'd probably cry out, "Father, you could defy the heavens and the earth for mother back then, so why have you become a cold-blooded, heartless executioner when it comes to me? Even a tiger won't eat its own cubs." Tang-san, oh Tang-san, the way you act as a god king, you're crueler than a beast. This verbal thrashing was truly refreshing. It felt satisfying for every female character watching, as they had already wanted to curse someone because of Wang Donger's death. Now that it was said so correctly, isn't this entirely Tang-san's problem? Du Guyan, 666. Not just cruel to Huo Yuhao, even crueler to his own daughter. Du Guyan, when we were watching the critique of Tang Wedong, we already felt it was Tang-san's problem, and looking at it now, that's exactly right. Bing Bing is polite. No, this isn't testing feelings, this is clearly testing Huo Yuhao's mental resilience. Hot girl, it's insane, forcing his own daughter to die and making the son-in-law watch from the side. Is this father's brain broken? Calm and composed, analyzing from a human perspective, this is a classic case of emotional manipulation. By creating extreme trauma, the victim develops guilt, making them easier to control. Needle-tailed swift, what N.A.N asking Love Valley, just rename it to the Valley of Remorse. Wang Donger must have been so desperate when she died, knowing it was a trap designed by her own father. I am an orphan, my fists are clenched. Wang Donger didn't offend anyone, just trying to have a relationship and getting used as a pawn by her own father. Auspicious snow in the forest. The most disgusting part is sowing discord between Wang Donger and Wang Chuer, making the two girls suspicious of each other. Does he enjoy watching others suffer that much? Du Guyan, exactly. I wanted to say that. It's clearly a mess he created himself, yet he forces the two girls to bear the consequences. Bing Bing is polite, and have you noticed, throughout the whole process, Huo Yuhao had no choice at all. Forced to watch his lover die, forced to feel guilty, forced to be controlled. Hot girl, if that were me, I'd go insane on the spot. And he calls himself a god, is this what godhood is? Calm and composed, typical abuse of power. Standing on the moral high ground, using so-called tests to satisfy his desire for control. Needle-tailed swift, simply put, he's gone crazy as a father, thinking his daughter and son-in-law's lives are his private property. I am an orphan. Wang Donger is too miserable, dying without even knowing why. She thought it was because her sincerity wasn't enough, but her father had already sentenced her to death. Auspicious snow in the forest. So to summarize, a control-freak father, in order to control his son-in-law, designs a scheme to force his own daughter to die, while incidentally sowing discord between another girl. Incredible. Du Guyan, auspicious snow in the forest summarized it perfectly. This Tang-san, the more I think about it, the more disgusting he is. Duluo Tuera. Shrek Academy. Wang Donger stared fixedly at the light screen in front of her, those words piercing her eyes like knives. She felt a buzz in her brain, the world went black before her eyes, and she stumbled a step, Xiao quickly steadying her. Although she had been shouting before that she wasn't prepared to treat Tang-san as a father. When she truly saw that her future death was designed by this so-called father, she fell into total despair. The point wasn't whether Tang-san was her father. The point was that someone who should have been her closest kin could go to such lengths. Wang Donger's voice was trembling. Did you see it? Did you see it, Xiao? I'm going to die in that so-called N.A.N asking Love Valley in the future. Just to make way for his precious daughter. Xiao was so angry her face turned pale, and her lips were quivering. Donger, this. What am I? Wang Donger interrupted Xiao, her eye sockets already red. I am his daughter. Even if I don't have my previous memories, I am still his, Tang-san's, daughter. And he treats me like this, telling me to die. Xiao's voice was also trembling. This is simply not something a human could do. Wang Donger sneered, laughing until tears came out. Whenever I hear the word, father, now, I feel sick, I want to vomit. What founder of Shrek, what's he god, what god king, to me, he is nothing. He is just a beast. Xiao gritted her teeth, her chest heaving violently. How can there be such a father in this world? This isn't dereliction of duty, this is intentionally forcing you to die. Why doesn't he die? A person like that is a scourge while alive. The two stood there, their whole bodies trembling, looking at the words on the light screen, even breathing became difficult. ... 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. Xiaowu stared at the light screen in front of her, the color draining from her face bit by bit. She took a step back, then another, and finally leaned against the corridor pillar, her whole body feeling as if her strength had been drained. Ning Rongrong stood to the side, the expression on her face changing from shock to disbelief, while Zhu Zuqing kept a dark face, saying nothing. Listen to this, just listen. Xiaowu spoke, her voice hoarse and unlike her own. He really could do such a thing. He really could force his own daughter to die. Ning Rongrong shook her head. Zhu Zuqing also sneered, speechless. Xiaowu closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, her eyes were filled with a mixture of despair and relief. Fortunately I left him. Really, fortunately I left early. This isn't just failing to be a good father, this isn't even a human being. Ning Rongrong sighed. Using his daughter as a stepping stone, this is even crueler than an outsider harming her. Zhu Zuqing's voice was as cold as ice. Perhaps in his eyes, his daughter sacrificing for the greater good is actually an honorable thing. The three of them fell silent for a long time. Xiaowu raised her head, looking at the light screen that was still continuing, and let out a long breath. Forget it, let's keep watching. Her voice carried exhaustion and numbness. I want to see what other absurd things could happen later. Chapter 175. Tang-san related, Total Despair. Shrek Academy, God King Tang-san. In the light screen. One can only say that after becoming a god, Tang-san simply turned on the professional son-in-law saboteur mode. Torturing Huo Yuhao in the Chang'an asking love Valley. It was like a reality show. He might as well have written, "My son-in-law must follow my script," on his forehead. Actually, before the 100-fold torture of Huo Yuhao, there was a deep adventure segment. It was equivalent to a challenge to complete a mission. However, what was the deep adventure mission for Huo Yuhao? It was to make Huo Yuhao save his own father. Deep adventure, deep pua, more like. Because Huo Yuhao's father had always been an enemy that Huo Yuhao loathed. Huo Yuhao knew that this cheap father of his was indirectly responsible for his mother's death. So, to Huo Yuhao, his father was his greatest enemy. A mortal enemy. Knowing full well that Huo Yuhao had an irreconcilable hatred for his father, he forced him to save him. This isn't a test, this is rubbing salt in a wound, and then asking, is it salty? Everything Huo Yuhao's father did, if applied to Huo Yuhao, would be enough to have him sliced 100 times. And yet, Tang-san says, go save him, this is a deep adventure. PFF, the only depth here is the depth of his brain being flooded with water. Just like the subsequent 100-fold torture, it's purely about tormenting people. Tang-san, is it because Huo Yuhao's life is too tough that you want to test if a god's power can break him? This isn't a father-in-law, this is the king of hell's reincarnation. And besides all this, there's plenty more. For example, after Tang-san forced his own daughter, Wang Donger, to death, did you think Tang-san wanted to save Wang Donger? In reality, there's something even more speechless. The most shameless operation is coming up. After Wang Donger was forced to death by her own father, Tang-san turned around and asked Huo Yuhao, do you want to pair up with Wang Chuer? This move is comparable to handing out wedding candy right after a funeral. Hey, Tang-san, wake up. That's your daughter. Your daughter just went cold. And you're already starting to pimp for your son-in-law. And it's a substitute, at that. What kind of god-tier father is this? If Huo Yuhao had actually agreed, wouldn't the plot explode? The comments would be flooding with, father-in-law personally delivering little San, this service is too attentive. Tang-san, oh Tang-san, back when you were chasing Xiaowu, was there ever a father-in-law around to torment you like this? Now that it's your turn to be the father-in-law, you start causing trouble. Isn't this a classic case of, I must make my son-in-law suffer the hardships I never had to endure? Might as well rename the Chang'an Asking Love Valley to, Tang-san's private custom son-in-law torture theme park. Special programs include, 100-fold torture, forced rescue of enemies, substitute matchmaking. Free admission, double the pain. Huo Yuhao is suffering inside. Father-in-law, are you testing me or my mental resilience? If my heart could speak, it would have been cursing by now. If Wang Donger's spirit in heaven saw her father tormenting her boyfriend like this, she would probably send a dream to curse him. Dad. Are you trying to make me die with regrets? Can you just stop for a moment? One last question for Tang-san. Since you're so good at playing these games, why don't you arrange a save your mortal enemy plus change your wife deep package for yourself? I guarantee the subscription numbers would skyrocket. After reading this, almost all the female characters felt even more sympathy for this so-called Huo Yuhao. Good grief, knowing Huo Yuhao hated his father, he still demanded that Huo Yuhao save this father. And then later he even said to let Huo Yuhao be with Wang Chuer. Du Guyan, my god, this Tang San is truly perverted. Forcing someone to save their mother's killer. What kind of brain-dead test is this? Is his brain broken? Bing Bing is polite no. I just can't understand it. Saving an enemy is one thing, but afterwards, he asks if the person wants to be with Wang Chuer. Didn't his own daughter just die because of him? Bibi Dong, hey, this is the so-called God King. To Pua his son-in-law, he can even use his own daughter as a pawn. Truly, what great majesty. Calm and composed, let's analyze this rationally. This belongs to double Pua. Calm and composed first, create a moral dilemma to make you feel guilty, then deprive you of your right to emotional choice, and finally pretend to be a good person and ask if you want to swap people, simply amazing. Hot girl, swap people. Swap what people? Wasn't Wang Donger the one who died because of his crappy test? Turning around and pimping for his son-in-law, this father is truly, humanly sober. Needle-tailed Swift, the most miserable one is Huo Yuhao, right? Saving an enemy is disgusting, the person he likes is forced to death, and he still has to hear his father-in-law ask, how about you settle for someone else, is he picking cabbages at the market? I am an orphan, so having a father is worse than not having one. If I were Huo Yuhao, I would directly rebel against him. What kind of bullshit God King, using human lives as test tools? Auspicious snow in the forest, my heart aches for Wang Donger. Her father set up a trap, forced her to death, and then turned around to introduce someone else to the person she liked. I can't understand this operation, but I am greatly shocked. Goddess of Light, to summarize. Tang San used the stupidest test, killed his own daughter, disgusted his son-in-law, and thought he was tempering his hard nature. This isn't a God King, this is a lunatic. Duluo Tuera. Shrek Academy. Wang Donger really wanted to smash this light screen. Xiao Xiao could also see her emotions. Xiao Xiao said, this Tang San is indeed not a good thing. Wang Donger said, from beginning to end, every single word, I am speechless to the extreme. Xiao Xiao was silent for a while. Indeed speechless. Xiao Xiao said, Tang San, letting Huo Yuhao save the person he hates the most. Is that something a human would do? Wang Donger didn't respond. Xiao Xiao said again, he forced you to death. Then turned around and let Huo Yuhao be with Wang Chuer. Wang Donger laughed. The laughter sounded terrible. I have never considered him a father. Wang Donger said, I wish I could just kill this beast. Xiao Xiao opened her mouth, not knowing what to say. He forced me to death. Wang Donger said. Then let Huo Yuhao be with Wang Chuer. Do you think he has gone crazy? I don't know, Xiao Xiao said. I just want to know what's in his head. What's in it? Wang Donger said. His own rules. He thinks everything he does is right. He thinks everything he arranges is the best. He treats everyone as pawns. Including me, including Huo Yuhao, including that Wang Chuer. Xiao Xiao looked at her. Do you want to throw up now? Xiao Xiao asked. Yes, Wang Donger said, I feel like it just hearing his name. Whenever I think of him standing there, with that compassionate look, saying, this is for your own good. Wang Donger said. I just want to throw up. Xiao Xiao didn't speak. Wang Donger helplessly continued to watch the light screen. Chapter 176, forcing Huo the protagonist to lick his enemy's father. God King Tang San finds a mistress for his son-in-law. Underground of the Lake of Life. The auspicious beast lay on the ground. Its claws scratched the rock repeatedly, leaving white marks. The light screen was still lit. The sharp comments inside continued. Wang Chuer, it's Wang Chuer again. The auspicious beast looked up, its eye twitching. I will absolutely never be a Wang Chuer. Not to mention I don't like Huo Yuhao. Even if I did, I wouldn't pick up something someone else didn't want. She retracted her claws and looked down at her fingertips. Tang San wants Huo Yuhao to like me. That's impossible too. She stood up. She walked around for 2 steps, then suddenly stopped. He's forcing Huo Yuhao to like me. Why should I? Who does he think he is? He thinks whatever he arranges will happen. I'm telling you, it's impossible. She stared at the name on the light screen, her eyes growing cold. It seems I need to find a way to destroy the Tang San faster. Her voice was very soft, but resolute. If I don't destroy him, he'll really think this world is his chessboard. I've seen beasts, but never one so beastly. Saying that, the auspicious beast continued to watch the light screen. In the light screen. There were still many sharp comments. This section about Chengkan asking Love Valley, there was almost too much to say. And besides having problems with Huo Yuhao, does Tang San not have problems with anyone else? It wasn't just one or two couples participating in the N.A.N Love Valley trial. Let's skip the individual trials and just talk about the final reward distribution. How can he have the nerve to say and present those rubbish comments and rewards? For example, the pair of N.A.N and Zulu. Of course, this pair also continued the previous Hell-White Tiger combination. It's just that here, N.A.N directly fell for Wang Chuer. After all, Wang Chuer is prettier. Actually, this is very normal for a young person to like beautiful men and women, isn't it? Even if this N.A.N didn't originally like Zulu, what's the problem? Just because their spirits match, they must be together. N.A.N was fawning over Wang Chuer like crazy before, but then during the evaluation, it became temporarily infatuated by beauty in your mouth. God King Tang-san, your eyesight is far worse than your hidden weapons technique. When a young person likes an attractive member of the opposite sex, you just have to rush in and act as a life mentor. What, are you so bored in the god realm that you have to descend to the mortal world and play matchmaker? Is it wrong for someone to like a good-looking girl, to be attracted by beauty? The most annoying thing is your skill in matching literature. As long as two people of opposite sexes stand together, you just have to play Cupid. Zulu liked N.A.N, but did N.A.N like her? Yet, through the N.A.N Love Valley trial, N.A.N was forced to fall for Zulu. And you insisted on bringing this pair together. What did Zulu do wrong? To have to pick up someone who has a white moonlight in his heart. What is this called? This is called God King's mercy. If I don't mess with pairings, who will? And then there's the reward segment, which is simply the peak of taking off your pants to fart in the world. I break your leg, then give you a crutch, and you have to kneel and thank me. Only you, Tang-san, can play this logic so righteously. Because the final reward was an option for N.A.N, choose to transfer Zulu's injuries to himself, or both of them level up by 5. The injuries on Zulu, you created them during the trial, didn't you? Now it's become a benefit you give to N.A.N. This operation is like, I go to your house, smash it up, then tell you, you can choose to help me clean up, or choose not to. Is this even a choice? Would N.A.N dare to choose the option to increase his spirit power by 5 levels? If he dared, the next day the label of ungrateful would be slapped on him from the god realm all the way to the Duluo continent. So the truth of this multiple choice question is, A. You suffer for her, B. You are socially dead, choose, DeLong. What did N.A.N get in the end? A body full of injuries, plus a verbal commendation of, you are truly a good man who values affection and righteousness. What did Zulu get? Watching her beloved suffer for her, her inner guilt was completely maxed out, and she was thoroughly bound. So, you two worked for half a day just to provide God King Tang-san with a free tear-jerking drama. This appearance fee is a bit expensive. How is this testing love? This is testing who can be the biggest sucker. Still becoming a god, I think it's becoming a spirit. So calculative, even the Andes haggling prices at the market would call you master. ... Du Guyan, damn, I'm speechless. Du Guyan stabbing someone's wife seriously, and then the reward is, you can take a knife for her. Du Guyan, what kind of logic is that? Weren't the injuries caused by you? Bing Bing is polite indeed, it's outrageous. The damage was originally caused by you, and now it's returned as a gift. How is this different from a kidnapper asking a hostage's family for ransom and then saying, I gave you an opportunity to express your love? Bing Bing is polite and the option to level up by 5 is even more sarcastic. Either watch her continue to hurt, or give up huge benefits to bear pain that shouldn't be yours. What is this called? This is using benefits to test human nature, and using pain to blackmail emotions. BB Dong, I've managed Spirit Hall for so many years, and I've never seen accounts settled like this. BB Dong, rewards and punishments are unclear, right and wrong are inverted. BB Dong, packaging responsibility as a gift, only that little beast Tang-san could come up with that. Calm and composed, don't rush, everyone, perhaps the god thinks deeply. Calm and composed, option 1, suffer for your wife, moving heaven and earth. Calm and composed, option 2, take off on the spot, level up 5 times. Calm and composed, this is testing human nature. Calm and composed, except, you beat his wife half to death before the test. Hot girl, the most disgusting part is that later section. Hot girl saying that N.A.N used to like Wang Chuer, is there a problem with that? Hot girl, he's a teenage boy, what's wrong with looking at pretty girls a couple of times? Hot girl, is it illegal? Does it bother anyone? Needle-tailed swift, exactly. Who doesn't start by looking at faces? Does it have to be love at first sight with Zulu to be correct? Then everyone whose first love failed shouldn't be alive. Most loyal believer of the sea god, and didn't he end up liking Zulu later? Insisting on nitpicking about his past, aren't you bored? Most loyal believer of the sea god anyway, every time I think that such a person will become the sea god, my heart aches. Chapter 177, Loving Wang Chuer is a crime. Dai Waban has become a joke. I am an orphan in the eyes of that animal N.A.N. I suppose liking beautiful people is a crime. Needle-tailed swift, you have to like them, correctly, in a way that aligns with the divine will. I am an orphan otherwise, no matter how good you are to Zulu in the future, N.A.N. will still mutter, this person's intentions were impure before. Calm and composed, to put it bluntly, he just wants you to walk cleanly into the cage he designed. You can't even have original sin. Auspicious snow in the forest. I just want to ask one thing, will Zulu really be happy? Auspicious snow in the forest. If Dai Waban is only treating her well because he was scolded, manipulated by public opinion, and pressured by the, if you don't choose me, you're morally corrupt, narrative, then how much of this kindness is willing, and how much is guilt and necessity? Auspicious snow in the forest also. Why does everyone have to like Wang Chuer? What did the auspicious beast do wrong? Goddess of light, these two, sigh, they won't even be able to argue in the future. Goddess of light, if they bring up the past, back then, if it weren't for you, I would have leveled up 5 times already. Goddess of light, or, back then, if the god hadn't pointed it out, I wouldn't have known you liked someone prettier. Goddess of light, once these words are out, how would Zulu feel? Can they even continue living together? Auspicious snow in the forest, so who won big in the end? Du Guyan, God King N.A.N. won big. Du Guyan, he displayed benevolence, upheld pure love, and judged human hearts. How truly despicable. ... Underground at the Lake of Life. The auspicious beast stared at the dense text on the light screen, feeling more and more irritable the longer she looked. What is all this? She stood up abruptly, her tail slamming heavily onto the ground. Why is there another one? Where did this guy named Dai Waban pop out from? The characters on the light screen were still jumping. She leaned in to look, then took 2 steps back. Huo Yu Hao before was fine, at least he sounds like a child of luck. Her voice raised a few notches. And this one, I've never even heard of him. Why should he like me too? She paced back and forth in the cave, her claws carving marks into the ground. Wang Chuer. She recited the name, her tone full of disdain. Is this what I turn into in the future? Is it really that good looking? Good looking enough for one person after another to throw themselves at me? She stopped and sneered at the light screen. HMPH, I don't believe it. Even if it is good looking, that's a controlled future, what does it have to do with the current me? The auspicious beast turned around, her back to the light screen. You think I can't see through N.A.N.'s schemes? Her voice carried mockery. You want me to obediently transform into a human? To be a wedding dress for your daughter? Keep dreaming. She glanced back at the light screen, then quickly turned away again. Fine, go ahead and like whoever you want. She lay down, buried her head in her front paws, her voice muffled. I won't transform into a human, let's see what you all like then. The cave was quiet for a while, then she raised her head again. I'll just stay like this, I don't care about anyone. She said to the light screen, her tone tinged with stubbornness. Anyway, I don't care. After finishing, the auspicious beast looked at the light screen again to see what other prodigies or monsters there were. Inside the light screen. Apart from the couple Dai Waban and Zulu, are the other couples without problems. Take N.A.N. and Shu Sanchi for example. Even the test of the truth or dare was problematic. This prompt was just great, it directly replayed the most unbearable past of the young couple like a movie. Why did N.A.N. submit to Shu Sanchi back then? It was because she was a 14-year-old girl who sold herself to the profound Ming sect to save her critically ill mother. As for Shu Sanchi, as the young master of the profound Ming sect, he needed to undergo that special ritual for his spirit awakening. To put it bluntly, this was a shared scar in both their hearts, it was a shadow for N.A.N. and guilt for Shu Sanchi. Good heavens, N.A.N., your test actually created an illusion to let both of them go back to that time and make up for regrets. I'm just confused, what did this make up for? The original text explicitly stated it was an illusory scene. Shu Sanchi acted like a decent person in the illusion and didn't force N.A.N., but what's the point of that? Like a historical artifact, you can only look but not touch, the original miserable thing still happened. It's like telling someone, come, let me show you a movie, you're very happy in the movie, so don't be sad anymore. Isn't that nonsense? Can this cure psychological trauma? Psychology dare not even write it like this. The craziest part is yet to come. Going through the illusion wasn't enough. He insisted on making them return to their 20-year-old selves and forcing them to do that deed in the illusion, only then did Shu Sanchi's spirit truly awaken.